If you've been on the internet lately, you'd be forgiven for thinking we're weeks away from global annihilation. Ukraine, Gaza, Iran, Taiwan, Twaintions, North Korea launching things into the ocean every other Tuesday. Your feed is basically a highlight reel of everything going wrong simultaneously, and it feels like Will Smith just failed to blow up the Armageddon. I get it. I also live in 2026. But here's what I actually think is happening and why World War III is a lot less likely than your screen is telling you. Let me explain. In 1939, you found out about a war when it reached your town, or maybe through a radio broadcast once a day. Today, you have 17 notifications before breakfast about conflicts on 4 different continents. Every regional war, every missile test, every political threat gets filtered through an algorithm that rewards fear because fear gets clicked. The world isn't more violent. Your exposure to violence is just more. Those are completely different things. And here's the data that never makes it to the headlines. Interstate wars, meaning actual wars between nations, have been in long-term decline since 1945. The conflicts you are seeing are real and are terrible, but they're mostly localized. Mostly. But the point is, the map looks more on fire than it actually is because the camera is everywhere now. The nuclear problem. Here's the thing about nuclear powers going to war with each other. Nobody wins. And I don't mean that in a feel-good, bumper sticker, goody two-shoes kind of way. I mean it in a Microsoft Excel hard numbers kind of way. China goes to war with the United States, for example. The global economy collapses. The dildo of consequences reaches everyone involved. China's export markets, the entire foundation of their economic model, that disappears overnight. The United States loses its manufacturing base and faces a debt crisis simultaneously. Both countries lose more than they could possibly gain. And we all know how the United States and China love money. Putin-chan already learned this the hard way in Ukraine. A conventional war against a NATO member would be catastrophically expensive before a single nuke gets launched. And launching a nuke means every other nuclear power has to respond or lose credibility. That's not a war anymore, that's everyone going fucking extinct. And if they don't go extinct, they go back a century and lose the comfort we've achieved today. Even North Korea, whose entire brand is threatening nuclear strikes, has never actually used one. Because Kim Jong-un wants to keep being Kim Jong-un. That dictators don't get to be dictators anymore now, do they? The deterrence framework has held for 80 years not because world leaders are good people, but because they're rational enough to not want to fucking die. The secret wars that never happen. Here's something worth sitting with. Israel has Arrow 3, an exo-atmospheric missile defense system designed to intercept ballistic missiles before re-entry. The United States has THAAD and Aegis. Multiple nations have layered defense systems specifically built for nuclear-capable missiles. Now, let's put aside the fact that if someone fired a nuke, it would be intercepted. That part is self-explanatory, I think. But I want you to ask yourself, if any of these systems intercepted something like a nuke, do you really think the government would tell you or really anyone about it? Think about what announcing a successful nuclear interception actually means. Every government on Earth is forced to respond publicly. Markets crash, populations panic, escalation becomes almost mandatory because now you've confirmed someone actually tried to, well, kill everyone. Staying quiet after saving millions of lives is what's likely happened or will happen in a situation like that because governments don't want markets to crash, they don't want panic, and trust me, they do not want to escalate nuclear warfare. No one does. That's where ego fucking dies. We would never know, and that's exactly the point. Here's what's actually different from 1945 and the last 2 world wars. The UN, with all its flaws, exists and actually mediates conflicts before they escalate. Most of the time. The internet calling out dumb fucks trying to justify wars. Thinkers able to go public more than ever. AI as threat detection. None of this means war stop happening. They won't. Regional conflicts, proxy wars, civil wars, these are going to keep occurring because human beings are human beings and fuck everyone. But a genuine world war, major nuclear powers in direct coordinated conflict requires every one of those incentives to break down simultaneously. That's not impossible, but it's a lot harder than our timeline is implying. The actual danger. The risk isn't World War III. It's that enough people believe it's inevitable that they stop caring about preventing it. Doom fatigue is real. When everything feels like the end of the world, nothing does. And that's when generally preventable things stop getting prevented. Your screen is not the world. The world is complicated, often terrible, occasionally quietly miraculous, and a lot more stable than the algorithm wants you to believe. That's because stable doesn't get clicks. So when you see the 7 billionth Asmongold or Hassan video titled World War III, remind yourself that they likely haven't had. Thanks for watching. And as always, have a pleasant day.